Hi, everybody, and welcome back to On the Roof. We're back from a little layoff for quite a while due to some health reasons, but I wanted to get back in the swing of things. And in order to get things rolling, who better to start things off than one of the greatest guitar players of all time, leader of Jefferson Airplane, Hot Tuna, and fantastic solo career as well, the great Jorma Kaukonen. Welcome, Jorma.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, always is. So what have you been up to? I mean, besides touring all over the place, I mean, you haven't slowed down at all.
Well, let's see. I'm going to the Old Town School of Folk Music shortly in Chicago. Been touring, as you mentioned. I've also had a chance to be at home for a while because our daughter just graduated high school. So
congratulations.
I had a chance to spend some time with her. But then she moved out of the house, got an apartment, and got a job. But strangely enough, even with her not living at home now, as we're in town, we see her all the time because she likes getting free dinners. So I've seen her more than I did when she was in high school.
We all know how that goes.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's good. I know you got a show coming up, which is at the Beacon Theater, right? In September. That's with Jack, right?
Yeah, that's going to be with Jack and
Justin.
And Justin. And I'm I've got a brain fart going here. This is really bad because we're going to have this stuff. We're going to have it'll come to me as soon as we sign off. Great horn player friend of mine from the New York area, whose name is just skipping. It's an old man moment. Steve Bernstein. Thank goodness. Steve Bernstein will be with us at the Beacon also, and then
wow.
We love him. He's his own band is that sort of like extremely avant-garde band, Sex Mob, and so we're sure looking forward to that. We're gonna be doing shows with Steve, and then a bunch of other things. Hey, it's all good, man.
And I wanted to get back to just to touch on the quarantine concert series that you guys did, you and Vanessa.
Sure.
That was, I mean, I don't know if it got great reaction from everybody, but I don't know if it got as much as it deserved, because to me that was like, what a godsend that was. It was just the alchemy of everything was just beautiful.
Well, listen, we sure appreciate, your feelings about that. And I've heard that from other people. And I need to say it meant just as much for us as it did for you. It kept us, it's, I can't believe I'm at a loss for words. That's not me. But I mean, one of the things that came out of the quarantine thing that we were made aware from, because there was a lot of bad stuff, but we were very fortunate, none of us got sick back then. But to be able to stay in the world, to be able to stay connected in the way that allowed us, that was so important for us. So, so I appreciate the thanks, but the act was thanks enough for ourselves. I don't need to be thanked for that. It was great to be able to interact with all you guys out there. Of course, Vanessa was fielding live questions. So you got to see her and me bust each other's balls on camera, and
it was perfect.
Yeah, what you guys see, that's who we are. That's what you get.
That's what I think it was. I think on the receiving end of that, it was so great to be on, to be able to just to be able to share those times and everything. But for you guys, it was just you guys being yourselves, being so natural. Of course, the preparation. I mean, Vanessa has everything in order. She was just brilliant with the whole production of it. But it was just what the doctor ordered. It was perfect.
Yeah, man, and like I said, it was so perfect for us too. And there's that just sort of like all-encompassing brotherhood that sort of evolved from it. And yeah. Hopefully, we'll never have to do that again in that way.
Yeah.
But it was not only a pleasure but an honor to be able to connect with all you guys out there that way.
Right. Also, I remember you mentioning too, like as a musician, you happen to be you happen to be actually playing more at home than ever. So as just honing your own
Sure,
skills with your instrument, I mean, that must have been a benefit, in itself, right?
absolutely. So when you look at the big picture of evolving life, when I'm working all the time, uh, as I've been fortunate to do most of my life, there's you keep in touch with whatever your show is at the time, and and you have a certain facility that you get because you're playing all the time. But what happened during the pandemic was, since I wasn't playing all the time in that way, I had an opportunity to actually look back at some of my older catalog of stuff that I hadn't played in years because we just didn't
Right.
take the time to rehearse it. So actually to get to have the time to go back and do that, which also opened doors in other ways. I'm not a prolific songwriter, but I wrote a couple songs during that, and reconnecting with old techniques that you hadn't used in years, just because you've been evolving, and it was. In a way, it was a very artistically productive thing for me. A lot of people think about, if you're not writing, you're not being productive. But as I'm fond of saying, I'm still trying to perfect songs I learned 50 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's evolving. That never ends,
It
right?
way it is, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Like
So,
once we got over that, how has that experience
sure.
benefited you?
So there a couple of interesting things happens when we started doing the quarantine concerts, because we might have had a couple of people that were still working for us in the audience, but there were no audiences, live
Right.
audiences there.
Right.
You guys in the world with the audiences. So one of the things that I needed to do in order to be able to generate the energy and the passion that happens with an interaction with a live audience, but which wasn't there for me to actually feel all you guys out there and to be able to play off your emotions even though I couldn't see them. Obviously, there's a lot of self-serving head nonsense going on, but anyway, but then getting back into the real world again and just seeing a live audience, a couple things happened. One of the things was, wow, this is great. There's live people out there. They're not afraid to be out in the world. I mean, it's been a while. We're not wearing masks anymore and stuff like
Right.
that.
Right.
But
Right.
even at the beginning, and then to reacquaint myself with being comfortable with seeing faces out there again, it was kind of a humorous process. Not a bad one, don't get me wrong. It was like,
Right.
yeah, this is like reverse engineering. I had to get used to not having you there, and then
Right.
I had to get used to having you there.
Right.
Funny stuff.
When you started off in, would you say your professional career started off with the airplane, or would you say prior to that?
No, I mean, certainly my professional career, in the sense that my father admitted that I had a job, started with the airplane.
That's the official determination.
Yeah, well, pretty much. I mean,
Right.
certainly. But that being said, I had been playing, supporting myself, teaching, and playing in little coffee houses for 5 years before that. So I mean, if we're looking at the overall picture, I would have considered myself to have been a professional musician since I was probably like 19 or 20. I mean, again, it just depends on how you look at it. I mean, look, here's the deal. We talk about people. I've got one of my friends. I got a gig tonight. I'm going. Are you getting paid? No, it's just if you don't get paid, it's not a gig. You know,
Right.
and we kind of laugh about that a little bit. But so I started getting paid probably in 1962 when I moved to California. Started playing coffee houses. Not much, but I remember the
Right.
first week that I had a good weekend at the Folk Theater in San Jose, and after Saturday night, I was able to take my buddies out to a late dinner at IHOP. It was a big deal.
Yeah. 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 Sure. Now but those years, that's when you were like kind of cutting your teeth and running and playing with some of the greats that are no longer with us in that whole San Francisco scene, right?
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have any particularly memorable stories about? I mean, I'm sure you have millions.
It's a funny thing because I wish that I had some sort of a story that just slapped me in the face. But the bottom, but we were all kids together back then. So none of us were really anybody yet, but we were all friends and we all shared that excitement of sort of coming of age in general. I mean, I mean, keep in mind, I was only like 21 or 22 years old then,
Right.
coming general and sort of laying the groundwork, which would become not only careers for all of us, but history. Speaking of that, on I think it's on MGM Plus. There's the folks that did that show, Laurel Canyon, A Place and Time, did a San Francisco thing, San Francisco Sound, A Place and
Right,
Time.
right. I think it's
First
airing now,
dropped,
actually, even.
yeah, it just dropped. The first one dropped last week, and the next
Right.
one is dropped. I mean, aside from tooting our own horn, it's well worth watching because they really captured the spirit of the time. Start
Right.
with the first with episode. There's only 2 episodes. Start with the first episode, and you'll be right there. I mean, I talked to Jack about it. I said I can't. I was wondering how are they going to do this? The
Right.
LA show, because it was LA and Crosby and all those guys were professionals. There's all kinds of film footage of them, but there's, unbeknownst to me, there's all kinds of film footage and stuff of us back in the day. Unbelievable stuff. I mean, aside from the fact that it's part of my story, I went, wow, what a great job they did with the San Francisco thing. Anyway, and enough unpaid advertising it.
Yeah, but Yoma, how much? I mean, from those days and how raw you were to the whole scene compared to now, with all your experience and having seen so much and played with so many and done it all, how much has music changed for you over the years, like the business and music itself?
You know, again, that's a really good question. I don't exist in that at this point in my life. I don't really exist in that music business world in that way. I'm not. My buddy John Hurlbut and I, we're doing another project that's going to be coming out on Culture Factory, but these are small little things. I'm not making records that are going to sell millions, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm not dancing in that world, so I can't really comment on it because I have no facts to base it on. But but just looking at where I am today and where I've come through and what I've been through, I think in some respects, you know, I'm right where I started, which wasn't a bad place to be. You know, I love what I do. I'm so fortunate because I'm a well-paid musician. I have no complaints about the jobs that I
Sure,
get.
sure.
Uh, over the years, we finally have a management company that collects whatever royalties dribble in for stuff. I mean, life is good for me as a musician, but in terms of what I do, what people see in public, aside from the fact that there's a lot of water under the bridge, and it takes more gadgets to plug into an acoustic guitar to sound not plugged in.
Yeah.
Um, I go, wow, here I am still doing uh, what I did a half a century ago. We were in Boulder, Colorado recently, and Nick Forster, who does E Town, that PBS show on out of Boulder. He stopped by the show. What I was flattered because anytime a professional musician stays up to hear somebody play and doesn't go to bed early, it's like, wow, that's a real compliment. But anyway, so Nick came up to me after the show and he goes, Jorma, I'm sitting here in the audience and it's amazing, watching you be you and watching your audience enjoy sharing who you
Yeah.
are, performer. And I went, Nick, I'm blessed beyond that people want to hear me tell my story. I consider myself a storyteller. And even though I write new songs occasionally, I'm not a tunesmith. And so they get to hear me retell the story all the time. So basically, I'm still telling the same story. There have been more chapters added to it that
Right.
I started telling in 1962.
One of the greatest rock and roll books I ever read was your book, Been So Long. That was just the way you wrote that story. I know it was what's the word? Not therapeutic, but like it just seemed like I know that's the wrong word, but just the way you put it out there almost seemed like as a reader, this is the first time you're going there to be a vulnerable, eloquent writer, and you express like personal stuff more so than just the time I jammed with Jerry and the time I jammed with there was so much more depth to the story that was left me with such a higher respect for you as a writer and as a man. It was an unbelievable job.
Well, I think there's no question that it was cathartic on some level.
Cathartic that's the word I wanted. Thank you.
I I know I didn't want to interrupt, but I don't think I set out for it to be that. but in the process of telling a story, whoever's telling it, if you're able to relate a story honestly without being self-conscious, it can't help but be cathartic.
Yeah, that's true, right? You and the Fur Peace Ranch, where you are now, right? This
No,
is a play.
I'm at my house in Athens right now.
Oh,
We,
okay.
yeah, we moved. We're living in town. Nessa's down at the ranch, where I will be going after you and I finish talking.
Okay, but that place is absolutely like like a spiritual place. There's the energy and the spirit in that whole facility there, that whole compound or whatever you want. Unbelievable. Like I've never just being there. Like I'll never forget that the energy part of it. It was just really
I
special.
agree, and at the risk of in this day and age, when you start talking about what I'm about to talk about, if you're talking to the right or the wrong person, they're going to go, well, that's like procreation, but I'm going to do it anyway. That area where the ranch was extremely, so many indigenous Native Americans have lived there, and the tradition of that whole thing. That whether you believe in it or not, I believe there's a lot of, for lack of a better word, good medicine happening there.
There
You
you
know,
go. Yeah.
and and you know, like I said, my daughter would go, Dad, that's cultural appropriation. I'm going, yeah, but I'm going to do it anyway. So there's a rich history of a lot of different people in different era living in that place and living their lives, et cetera, et cetera. And we sort of inherited that at the ranch, and I think we've been able to carry it on as a tradition.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's also been such a big part of who you are now too. Like because that's been such a gift to be able to build
Sure,
it to what it is, right?
absolutely. So again, Vanessa and I are such good partners with stuff. you know, I'm my thing is, I'll promise anything, but she makes it happen. But
Right.
we work well together, and what we're, you can't plan what happened at the ranch. It'd be nice. Well, I planned on this. We just had an idea. Basically, we're gonna, because we own the property, we're gonna have a little guitar school, and that was pretty much it. But you've been there a couple times, and it's evolved in a way that I think defies planning. You know,
Yeah.
and the sense of community for those of us that geek out with the kind of stuff that is our world. Mostly acoustic guitar music, but not all acoustic guitar music,
Right.
and just the love of being able to communicate in a non-verbal way, lyrics notwithstanding. But you just can't beat it. You can't beat it, and I don't think you can plan on it. I don't think you can plan on it. Uh, I think that what we do is inherently honest in its presentation. I don't think we set out to be pretentious. Although somebody go, well, Yorma, you're the most pretentious guy I've ever met. I'm sure that guy's out there somewhere, but it's not something we're trying to do anyway.
Right. Like Hot Tuna,
Sure.
the show coming up. I see these posts. People are like, they're reserving bars and where everybody's going to meet at like 5 o'clock to see your show later on, and all like fans. But they're so loyal, and it's such a great testament to both you and Jack.
Yeah.
The enthusiasm that people still have to just come back and back and back and keep coming back to see you guys
Yeah.
and all your new incarnations of what you're doing in the moment.
Yeah. And we are so fortunate to have a fan base there for us. Period. But something else that we're so fortunate is that people that love us, our fan base, allows us to make changes. They might not like them. Well, I think you should still be playing with this person or that
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
They might like the changes, but they let us do it.
Right.
And as an artist, believe me, both Jack and I appreciate that more than
Yeah,
words say.
yeah. The last interview I did, not with you and Jack, but just with you, you had mentioned like, oh, different styles of music or different things, and you're going, but that's not who we are. Like this might be the norm, and this is what people might expect, but I can't give you that because it's not who we are. And that being
Right.
true to who you are, I think, is what is so endearing to the people, even if they may not like it in the moment.
Yeah.
They grow to love it.
Yeah. Certainly, pretty much what you see is what you get. For
Yeah.
better. And I think years ago, I remember somebody in an interview. We're kind of having this discussion, I forget when, and they were asking, how we explained that kind of loyalty And what I came up with at the time is, I think because Jack and I are basically honest about who we are, you know.
Do you think that writing your book did that open you up more as an artist in retrospect?
Yes, I think it did. I think I don't know about as an artist, but I think it opened me up more as a person, because the process of writing the book demanded that I be unself-consciously honest, and to be unself-conscious is not a trait I was born with, you know. But I appreciated that it was demanded that I do that, and I think that, that being said, I think it's made me less self-conscious as an artist. And people wonder, I've been in the game for a long time, and people go, "Do you ever get stage fright, or do you worry about this or that?" And the answer, I guess, without filleting it too deeply, is I don't get stage fright or nervous like I might have done when I was younger, but I'm always concerned about stuff, you know. I'm always concerned that I'm be able to be the best that I can be at any given situation. At the same time, having learned to not let that be a burden that makes you so self-conscious that you can't help but screw up.
I wanted to ask you about one song in particular, which is probably, as we speak, my favorite Yorma song, and "Things That Might Have Been,"
Okay,
and how that came about.
sure.
I love
So,
that song.
oh, thank you very much. So that's an interesting thing. And if I had a guitar in my hand, which I don't right now, it's packed away. But it was like in the early 2000s something. I was on this tour, and Robin Ford was on the tour, and I had this. You're gonna love this. I have this app on my phone called the guitar. It's called Guitar Toolkit. It's got a chord finder thing, and I'm just screwing around. And Robin had been sort of hipping me to some different kinds of chord motions, because he's such a sophisticated guy.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thought
Sure.
about it. So to make a long story short, I came up with the first three chords of the song, and then I just started to write the words, and that whole song came in an unbroken way. Those lyrics, I have a younger brother. I'm not sure that estranged is the word to use here, but we haven't spoken together for a number of years. It's been his choice, not mine, and that's okay. And
Yeah, right.
that's our choice. But for some reason, I just got to thinking about it, and the combination of being in that headspace, thinking about my brother at that time, and those chords leading me somewhere, wound up with me writing that song. I'm very fond of that song also. It's, in terms of chord structure and stuff, it's a very atypical Yorma song, but I think
Yeah,
it's a good song. And it's a completely honest song.
yeah. I have a younger brother myself. I think that's why I was drawn to it the way it was. But lyrically,
Uh,
it's brilliant. It's great. It's
oh,
perfect. It's a
thank
beautiful
you.
song. You said you have a project coming up that you're doing with John.
Sure,
And what about those first two albums you guys did a couple of years ago? The River Flows.
sure. So we're this is our third project, and it's going to be in that vein also. And it's going to be called Another Lifetime, and the same folks, Culture Factory, are going to put it out. Yeah, that's a line from Peter Roman's song "Angel Island." So one of the things that I love about John and I have been friends for four plus decades, and when I play with John, I get to act in a lot of ways in the same way I did as a lead guitar player with the Jefferson Airplane, where I get to serve the song and his vocals as best I can, and not have to be me. If I'm not the front guy in that band, if you understand what I'm
Right.
saying.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so and so and so that's really a lot of fun for me. And so, John is such an interesting guy because he's so passionate about the music that he loves, and he always brings great songs to the table.
Yeah.
So we started out, actually pre-COVID, when we'd have the Sunday or the Monday morning before the ranch people would go home from ranch concert, everybody get together at breakfast, and John and I would do what we call the coffee break concert. And at that time, I'd go, "Johnny, let's do some songs. I don't want to rehearse. Just throw them at me and let's see what happens." And we started doing that. And as I got to know him better, in terms of the songs that he would choose as an artist, then I got to go, you know something? Let's do a little rehearsing, you know? So as we got more serious about it, then we rehearsed more. And it's just such a free spirit thing for me to be able to do that with him. And we just have a really good time. And we were so fortunate that we had an opportunity with the Culture Factory folks to do that. Uh, we started doing it a lot more during the COVID thing. Like he'd be part of our, our weekend concerts and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. I mean, it was totally organic the way it grew. And here we are. We've actually completed the project. It's not going to be out for a while. We're still doing some mastering and stuff like that. But yeah, very excited about it. Always love to make music with him. And again, in the songs that he chooses, uh, because people tell stories in songs, I enjoy making that journey with him, not only as a band member, but as a fan as well.
Right. That's really great. And what's going on at the ranch?
We're not doing any in-person stuff at the ranch right now. COVID changed that for us, and we're just not doing that now. But we are doing we are doing a lot of virtual workshops. That's going to continue. We are still doing concerts, as I'm sure you're aware, at the ranch.
Right.
Johnny coming up. Hot Tuna's got one coming up. There's a G.E. Smith one coming up. I'll be playing with G.E.
Oh, that's great.
So the ranch is alive and well. Vanessa's got a little store on site called River of Time there. Our Silo Gallery, we're open several days a week. I should know the days and the hours. I'd have to the website, everybody. And so that's what's happening, And I was thinking the other day, because we have this great young guy that's a groundskeeper for us now, and I was walking around with Vanessa. I had one of the dogs over there with me, and man, look at this place we built. It's unbelievable.
It really is. It really is. And it's great to be there in person. But I would just recommend for anybody out there, too, you're online, the store online, there's so much cool merchandise there that you can't find anywhere else. It's just unique to you guys, and it's brilliant stuff.
Yeah, Vanessa's got good stuff in the shop. In fact, I was over there the other day, and I was looking at something, and I told her, I said, if I didn't already have so much stuff in my life, I'd have to buy this myself.
Yeah. Do you still have Marty Ballin's artwork there?
Absolutely, we sure do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And that's just being shown for whoever wants to come in and view it?
Absolutely, yeah. We've got some Baron Wallman's photographs, got Artie's artwork. We've got some of Grace's stuff. We have all kinds of neat stuff.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, and that's a great experience too. But like I say, even online, if people that can't get there, I mean, visit the store online. The furpieceranch.com, right?
Yep. FURPE Ranch.
That's it. All right. I'm grateful for your time, Jorma. I mean, I really appreciate it. I have so much respect for you. I look forward to seeing you on the 23rd.
Yeah, well, listen, the feeling's mutual, and I'm sure glad that you're feeling better. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you on the 23rd as well. Stop by and say hey.
I will. I missed your last show just because I just wasn't up to it, so that'll be the...
Understood.
Yeah.
Well, here's the good news. There's a show coming up.
That's right. That is the good news. Listen, Jorma, my best to your wife, Vanessa, and to everybody. You know what was really cool, too, by the way? I wanted to just add one last question is... the fact that Vanessa got to join you, like for some of the songs during the quarantine series, exactly. And your daughter Izzy as well, she just killed it.
Yeah, no, she's awesome. Yeah, like I said, for me personally and us as a family, a lot of positive things came out of our ability to participate in the quarantine concert thing. Yeah, I got a chance to have Iz sing a couple times with me. She's got her own band now, of course.
Oh, that's great. That's good to hear.
Great singer, but she's always like, being Vanessa, rarely gets a chance to just come out and sing. So yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Right.
To be able to play music with your family, you just can't beat it.
You can't. I mean, it's so cool to say. It's great, and I love you guys for it, man. So listen, Jorma, my best to everybody, and hopefully we'll catch up real soon and keep this going.
Well, absolutely, so, Scott. Great talking to you. Stay well, and I'll see you in the near future.
You got it. Thanks, buddy.
Awesome,
all the
man.
best. Peace.
Yep.